2NURFM News for our sponsor Guardia Jewellery, Toronto Town Square and the Esplanade, Warners Bay.
It's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Thandi Chindove with 2NURFM Hunter News. A 41-year-old man at the Centre for Siege in Lambton is recovering in hospital after police were forced to taser him. Neighbours called police to a home in House Street at about 6 last night after the man armed himself with a knife. He eventually came out of the house but allegedly confronted officers while still armed with the weapon. Police expect to lay charges over the incident. A 36-year-old man is due to front court today over an armed robbery on a service station at Freeman's Waterhole last week. Officers raided a home at Black Alls Park yesterday, allegedly finding a shortened firearm used in the robbery before arresting the man at Fassifern. Senior Constable Sarah Burgess says a second man and a woman have also been charged with stealing cash and cigarettes from the service station.
About 3 p.m. on Wednesday, the 16th of June, a 28-year-old man from Bolton Point was arrested after he was pulled over by police while driving his car. Now, later that afternoon, it was a 27-year-old woman. She was arrested at a premises in Toronto. She was charged with robbery while armed. She'll be appearing in Newcastle Local Court on the 26th of August.
The New South Wales government has announced a range of new rebates that will benefit the most vulnerable Hunter residents. $6.6 million has been allocated to the life support rebate and medical energy rebate, as well as a $90 gas rebate for low-income households. Parliamentary Secretary for the Hunter, Scott MacDonald, says the help provided will aid the disadvantaged with the energy costs associated with running their equipment.
They're fairly significant increases, some of them up to about 85%. And they help some of the most vulnerable people in our community who rely on energy, electricity and gas to run some of their medical equipment, such as ventilators, external heart pumps, home dialysis kits.
A formal agreement has been signed allowing the Hunters Westpac Rescue helicopter service to move to the Lake Macquarie Airport at Belmont. The new operational base is part of the restructuring of the service for a new contract covering northern New South Wales. Service General Manager Richard Jones says the Broadmeadow base will still be operational.
Broadmeadow will still be headquarters for our marketing and our fundraising and administration, and also it will be a heavy maintenance facility. All the heavier maintenance will be done here at Broadmeadow itself. So this is still a functional base, and there will still be helicopters coming and going.
An inquiry will be held next week for the proposed RAF base Williamtown upgrade. The Department of Defence says the base requires upgrades of ageing infrastructure which dates back to over 70 years to support capability. The site will include an auditorium for 250 personnel and flexible office accommodation for 950 personnel. The Communication Workers Union is rallying in Newcastle today to gather signatures for the Hands Off Aussie Post campaign. The national petition aims to stop proposed changes to Australia Post, which will reportedly increase the cost of its services. Assistant National Secretary of the Communication Workers Union, Martin O'Neill, says many people support their cause.
It's about raising public awareness. Obviously, we're trying to apply pressure on those down in Canberra who make these decisions. The public are very keen to sign the petitions as soon as they find out exactly what's happening. We're urging the politicians to have a rethink about the whole situation, and we will continue to do what we're doing.
The Hunter Valley town of Bulga is holding its annual community event, Bulga Beats. Special guest Michael Caton from the film The Castle will be attending the event to show his support for the local community. Organisers are expecting this weekend's festivities to be a sign of unity and defiance against the planned expansion of Warkworth Mine. In finance, the All Ords is up 73.8 points at 55.98, and $1 Australian dollar is buying 77.88 US cents.
Sport for our sponsor, NewcastleCheapestCars.com.au.
In the lead-up to this weekend's match against the Sharks, the Newcastle Knights are keen to have another man back in action, with Robbie Rocco returning to the side. Having undergone back surgery at the end of April, the 24-year-old added to the Knights' long list of injuries. Rocco says he's pleased with his recovery time.
It's been about 8 weeks since my operation now, and I've been running for about 3 or 4, and it feels really good. I'm really confident with it, and I feel a lot better than what I did earlier in the season anyway with it. So I'm glad I had it done, and I'm looking forward to playing now.
Newly appointed Newcastle Jets coach Scott Miller is establishing a competitive mindset within the club. The former Fulham assistant coach is self-described as a winner and says he wants to see the same ambition in his players. And in basketball, the Newcastle Hunters are in for a big game tonight when they take on the Maitland Mustangs at Maitland Federation Centre. The Hunters need to beat the Mustangs to have a chance at re-securing the Kibble Malin Cup. At Sport, I'm Jonathon Momsen.
2 NURFM News Time is 1:05.